Hello everybody, my name is Scooter. Welcome to Coding 101. In today's video, I'm going to teach you how to send an email using React JS and Node.js. This email sending aspect or functionality comes a lot in development. I am actually willing to bet that there's not a single website you can construct where you're not going to be required to send automatic emails. Not a single one. I actually happened into this functionality just recently when I was developing a website. So in the contact page of the website that I was developing, I had to create a contact form that allowed the user to send in requests or use that platform to contact a consultant and inquire regarding a service that the company provides. So maybe you might need this functionality when you want to update the customer regarding their shipping or payment status, especially when you're creating an e-commerce website. So you're going to need to send like those type of automatic emails. And there is no way, and The Rock says no way, that you can be sitting around a computer to send these actual emails. You need to automate this process. So that's what we're going to be doing in today's tutorial. But before we continue further on, I would like to encourage you to subscribe to this channel. I have plenty of videos like this that really help your development process. So be sure to subscribe to my channel. If you enjoyed this video, give me a like. And if you have any type of comment, if you have any type of criticism, I accept whatever. So just make sure that you leave them in the comment section and I'll be sure to respond to as many comments as I can. So in this tutorial, I'm actually going to show you how to move mail information from the front end aspect of your project to the back end aspect of your project using Axios. Now, if you're not familiar with Axios, I would advise you to check out my course on Axios. I created a crash course on Axios, and it's just going to help you understand what Axios is all about and how to implement Axios in different types of scenarios. So make sure that you check out that course. And what we're also going to be using in today's tutorial is NodeMailer. So if you're not familiar with how to send emails using NodeMailer, because NodeMailer is an NPM package that just makes it as easy as possible to send emails. So be sure to also check out my project on how to send emails using NodeMailer or using JavaScript in Node.js. But don't worry, if you don't want to do that, don't worry. We'll brush through these details very shortly. So now let's just try to understand the baseline of our project. So what I simply did is that I just created a simple React template using Vite. If you're not familiar with Vite, once again, I have videos concerning this, so make sure you check those out as well. So I just created a simple React template using Vite, and let's go to our project structure so that we can see what we have currently. We have two folders in our, two main folders, I should say. We have the client folder and then we have the server folder. Okay, this is not supposed to be there. We'll just get rid of it. We have the client and we have the server over here. So these are our two predominant folders that we have. Inside of our client, this is where we're going to store our front-end information. And in our server, this is where we're going to create our server. All right, so let's get into it. So what we're going to do is that we're going to start with our app development, our backend development, sorry. We're going to start with our backend development. So as you can see, I've already created a file called app.js. This is where we're going to put our server information inside. So I'm just going to paste it in and then I'm just going to explain it to you. All right, so this is our server information. We're going to get rid of that because we don't need that per se. So if you're not familiar with backend, what we're simply doing over here is that we are importing those modules that we're going to use. Express, we start off by importing Express.js. If you're not familiar with Express.js, Express is actually a backend web application framework that is used to build APIs. But in this case, it's used to build RESTful APIs with Node.js. So it's just used to build APIs. So APIs is a way to communicate to our front end. So that's what we're going to be using it for in this project. So we're just importing Express and NodeMailer, and this is where we create our server. And our server is going to be running on port 5000. And in this function that we have over here, this is the function that we're going to use to actually send our emails. There are a couple of configuration details that are needed over here. First, before you actually deal with NodeMailer, you need to actually create a Gmail account. We're going to be using Gmail in order to send out emails. You need an actual Gmail account, and from that account, you're going to extract an application password, not the password that you actually use to log into your Gmail, but an application password that permits us to actually use Gmail to send these automatic emails. So it's a password that is actually separate from the password that you use to log into your Google account. So just extract that password, and then after that, use the email over here. If you don't know how to extract the password, be sure to check out my previous video. I show you how to do it. And then after this, we have our mail configs, whereby, of course, we use that email that we're going to use to send these mails or these emails. And then we have the recipient's email over here. And then here we have the subject. And then we have the text that is going to be going to the recipient. So in here, you can actually, you have the option to use HTML as well. And the HTML will be displayed on the recipient side. And we use the transporter to actually send that email. So yeah, so that's about it. So this entire thing is a promise. And we take that promise and we put it inside of our API over here. As you can see, we declare a get API. And we use that promise, that email sending promise, in order to send our emails. Yeah, and then after that, it's going to respond with a message, or it's going to respond with an error. Okay, so that's about it for our backend. If you have any problems with this, make sure you leave those comments in the comments section. So what we're actually going to do now is that we're actually going to run our server. I'm going to say nodemont. We're going to use nodemont. Okay, so I think maybe we forgot to install our modules. So I'm just going to say server, and clean this up. Express, NodeMailer, like that. Install Express, NodeMailer, like that. And then after we've installed our packages, make sure you start your server using nodemon. You can also install nodemon. Okay, so you can see that our project is running at port, our server is actually running at port 5000. That is okay. So now we're done with the backend aspect, and now we're going to be dealing with the front end aspect of our project. So in our project, the other thing that I actually forgot to mention is that we're going to be using Tailwind to build our front end. So in order to configure Tailwind, just go to the Tailwind website. They have a place whereby you can learn how to actually configure Tailwind for a React project, how to install Tailwind CSS with a Create React App project. So you can do that. They also have information for Vite as well. So just make sure you go to tailwindcss.com to actually do that. I also have a video whereby I explain how to configure Tailwind React project as well. Okay, so we need to start our front end project. Oh, I think it's already up. Cool, awesome. So now we need to create our contact form. I'm going to come over here to src, and I'm going to create a folder, and I'm going to call it components. It's actually going to be one component inside of here, and then I'm just going to say contact form.js. And then we're just going to use the ES7 shortcode in order to create that boiler code. That's okay. And inside of here, this is where we're going to create our form, actually, our contact form. All right. So the first thing that we're going to start with is that I think Prettier must have gotten rid of my brackets. So I'm going to need my brackets back. And then inside of here, I'm just going to create a section. And in the section, I'm going to give it a couple of classes. Class name. And then I'm going to give it a white background. Should do. And just say doc mode should be a bit grayish. Grayish 900 will do. That's fine. Then I'm going to create a div class inside of here. This is horizontal. Oh, class name, sorry. Horizontal padding. PY8. For larger screens, I want PY16. MX Auto. Max W. screen empty. Right, that should be good. And now we're going to create the title, and we're going to use an h2 tag. So our h2 tag over here, give it a bit of class name, and then we're just going to give it a margin bottom of 4, a text font of 4XL, and then we're going to say tracing tighter, and then we're going to give it an extra bold font weight, extra bold, there we go. And then we're going to make sure the text is in the center. Text center. I'm going to say make sure that the text also has a bit of a grayish. It's a grayish, not too dark, gray 900. And then dark mode. Text should definitely be white on dark mode. All right. And then, so that's it. Then we're just going to create a small paragraph in there. Just going to paste that in. Did we? Oh, we forgot to put like the header. So that's going to be contact us, like that. And now we're going to create a form. And inside of a form, of course, we're going to have an action item. I wonder if we're going to need this action. Okay, we're going to have a class space y8. You can check out Flowbyte for more of these types of templates, these Tailwind templates. They make it really easy. They're not sponsoring this video. I hope they do. Now we're going to create a label inside of here. Inside the label, we're going to create a label. The label is going to be for email. And then class name, give it a couple of Tailwind properties. Make sure that it's a flex item. And I want it to be towards the center. No, should it be towards the center? Yes. Should be towards the center, south center. And then I want the display to be block, margin bottom 2, text size small, font, weight, font medium, text should be of a grayish 900 color, just like our heading. And on dark mode, it should be white. Should it be white? Maybe we can reduce the grayish to be, okay, so just say text gray 300 instead. And that should do. Okay, so that is our label. And inside of our label, the first thing that we're going to need is the email. So your email. So let's see how this looks before we continue. So I'm just going to go to app.jsx and get rid of everything inside. Alright, even this p tag as well. Can get rid of that. Can get rid of that state, as well as this. So essentially we're not going to need anything here. We're not going to need the class name as well. Alright, and inside of here we just say contact form. And then, there you go. Done. Import it at the top. See how it looks. I'm just realizing that over here our contact form is in a JavaScript format, but this is JSX. So maybe we might want to rename it and just say JSX. Alright, that's fine. That's fine. Let's go to our website now and see if everything, oh, there we go. So this is our header, and then this is everything that is inside. Okay, cool. This is fine. So now let's go back to our code and design our input tag. Save this. Alright, should be fine. Okay, so now we're going to create our input tag in here, our input tag that is associated with that label. I'm just going to say input, oh my goodness, like that. Inside of there, I'm just going to give it a couple of, so the type should be email, and the ID should probably be email as well. Do we need the ID? I don't think so. Class name, I'm going to put in our CSS over here. Okay, so we want to give our input tag a bit of shadow effect. So we're just going to say shadow small, and we're going to give it a background of like gray, 50 though. I'm going to give it a border, make sure it has a border, and the border should be gray. And gray 900, I think that should do. Everything inside should have a small text font size. And we want it to be rounded. I'm going to give it rounded large. So that's the border radius, if you're not familiar with this. And it should have a focus ring. You're going to see how this looks once we're done. Maybe primary. Okay. Primary 500. And focus, border, primary 500, I think that should do. Yeah, like that. Should be the full width. Give it a couple of padding of 2.5. On the doc mode, it should be, so this is actually a lot of classes. So I'm just going to paste them in because I had already done them before. And I'm going to share with you the source code at the bottom of the description box. So I'm just going to instead copy this, and copy and paste this. So I've just copied and pasted them. So this is fine now. Make sure this is class name instead of class. We are in React, not JavaScript. So let's check out how everything looks. Perfect. Everything looks good. So you can see if we focus, that's what we were doing to make sure that when we focus, there's something that changes. And so you can see that the border, that when we focus, it sort of like changes it. It has a more darker sort of like color. So that is fine. So we're just going to do the same with the rest of our inputs and labels because we have about 3 of them. So I've just pasted that in because we don't want to focus too much on Tailwind. It can take a bit of time. So this is our contact form. Let's see how it looks now. Perfect, it looks good. So you can see that this is where we put our username, this is where we put our subject, and this is whereby we put our message. And we also should have our submit button, I think. Alright, so we didn't create our submit button, so we'll just create our submit button now. I think I'm also going to copy and paste the submit button, so we don't waste too much on that. We just get into the Axios of this project as I'm done for that. Funny enough though, there's the submit button. So it's funny that it doesn't show up on our UI. That's weird. Okay, so while looking for our submit button, I've actually realized one of the errors that we've made. HTML4, so when you're in React, you're supposed to say not just 4, it should be HTML4. So I'm just going to try and change that. It should be 4, not HTML4. So I'm just going to change that. HTML4 instead. Okay, so one other thing that I was supposed to mention at the beginning of the project is that we have a couple of Tailwind configurations. So yeah, this is the part whereby you configure your Tailwind. So you might just want to check out these configurations or just copy and paste them. Like I said, I will leave the source code in the comment section so that you can just like copy and paste these or you can copy and paste these configurations into your project if you just want to build it up from scratch. So that is the primary reason why our submit button was not showing up. It's because we did not copy and paste those configurations that we had done earlier. But as you can see, there's our submit button. Now we move on to the important aspect of this, is actually connecting our front end with our back end. So what I would like to do is that I would like to come over here to our app.js, and I'm going to create a new API that's going to take in a couple of parameters. And I'm going to create a post API, and I'm going to call it send email. Send email, like that. So I'm going to create that API. There you go. And this is going to take in a couple of parameters, and then I'm going to make it to take in a couple of parameters in here. So the first thing that it's going to take, we can just say params. Do we want to do that? We want to destructure that params. Yeah, let's just destructure the parameters. And in here, we're just going to have maybe receiver or recipient, the recipient email, that's what we're going to call it. And then we're going to have maybe the subject, And then we're going to have maybe the message as well. So that's all we need to receive. And now, instead of having our own hard-coded subject, we can just come here and we can just say subject. And then email here, we can just put recipient email. And on the text, we can put in message. All right. Yes, and then over here, we can just say, we can say send email. We can say request that body like that. And then we just carry on with the thens and the catches. As always, it should be fine. Now we move on to, so we've successfully created our API over here. There's a post API that's going to be receiving a request.body. Now, because we are passing in our email as a body, there's something known as cores. So cores is a certain module that allows us to transport information, like solid information, from the front end to the back end aspect of this. So we need to implement cores. We need to show our back end, or maybe set that up so that we can allow information to be passed from the back end, from the front end to the back end. Because if we were to run this, it would not allow us to actually pass this information around, so we need to set that up using Express. So in order to handle that dreaded course error, we're going to do exactly like we've done over here. I'm going to copy and paste these files that we have over here. We're going to allow JSON information to pass through, URL encoded. We're going to do just this. So this piece of code is going to allow you to send information from the front end to the back end, which would otherwise be blocked if this was not in place. So I think that is it. I think this is fine as it is. So we've created our post. So now we need to check it or see if it works using Axios. So I'm just going to at the top over here. So I think what we need to do as well is that we need to actually install Axios into our project. So I'm actually just going to say npm install Axios like that. And then after Axios is successfully installed, we go at the very top and we can just say Axios. Okay, maybe we do need to import it. So maybe refresh our project a bit, and then import Axios from Axios like that. Now we need to create a function that is named. Do we need to create a function? I think we might have to. Okay, so. But before we do that, I think we might have to have a couple of states in here that captures all that information that we've described. So we need first the email. So I'm going to pause this video and create these 3 states that we're going to need. So those are the 3 states that we need to capture. So now we need to go to onChange. Over here, we just need to say every time this changes. Then update set email. Over here, I'm going to say target.value. Alright, this is fine. Copy this and do the same thing with the others. On the subject as well. So instead of set email here, of course I'm going to say set subject. And do the same for the message as well. And we're just going to say set message. Alright, and now we can create our function. So we create our function. I'm going to call it send mail, like that. First we need to check that those states are not empty. Recipient email, subject email, and message. Make sure everything is in there. And then if everything is in there, then you make that Axios request. Remember our path is HTTP localhost. Our port is running on 5000. Oh, sorry, we're supposed to say axios.post. Yes, that would have been a blunder. And then in here we feed it the body, which is the recipient email, the subject, and the message. Okay, and we make our .then function. If this works incredibly well, we can just say console.log. Instead of console.log, why don't we just say alert? We just say alert message sent successfully. And then on our catch, we can just simply say, make it maybe an alert as well. We can just say, oopsie daisy. I don't know if that's how you spell that. All right. So there's our function. And if everything is empty, we can just say return alert, fill in all the fields to continue. All right, so that's our function. So now we need this to be called every time the user presses the submit button. So we can just say on click. Every time this is clicked, I want you to run that send mail function. And then I think that's about it. So now we can just like put a test into our thing to see if everything is works the way that we wanted it to work. But before we do that, let's just make sure that once this is done, we just return so that it doesn't, Okay, that is cool. It's nice. And I'm also noticing that we have not completed our endpoint. Remember, our endpoint is send email. Right. So let's check. So let's just enter an email over here. I'm just going to say example 1@gmail.com. And the subject over here, testing email. And then email, testing message. And then if we press send, you can see we're getting an error message. So let's go to the console to check out our error message. It's a cross-origin error message, and I think I know why this is so. We need to actually use course. So you need to npm install course. Okay. Do as such. Okay. And then you need to say app.use course in here. Didn't think it was going to give me any errors, but it did. So there we go. So this should do. Now we go back to our email. Refresh this. And example 1@gmail.com. Testing my email. Hello, email. Alright, and then I'm gonna just press send. And there it says, sending email. Message sent successfully. Okay, so we've managed to successfully send in our email. So that the error over there was just like, it was a course error that we were experiencing. So I think it is fine now. We shouldn't be able to experience that anymore. So yeah, I think that is pretty much it for today's tutorial. We were just pretty much creating this or sending email through our front end to our back end. Yeah, so that's basically it for today's tutorial. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure that you have liked. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to my channel. If you have any comments, if this is a very tricky project for you, I do offer one-on-one tutorials. And so maybe we can just get started with this project and I can show you how it's done and we can convene from there. So make sure you just go through one of my videos. I think I left my contacts there and just check them out and you can just we can convene from there. So other than that, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time on Coding 101.